I'm cooking. So if you don't know me, I'm Kelly. I'm the plant-based kitchenista. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we're going to be doing plant-based taquitos. And I know these are going to be, if you're looking at the recipe, they're a little bit different, but very healthy and taste very good. And then we're going to put a plant-based cheese sauce within inside of it. But you could also, depending on if you have extra cheese sauce, you could always drizzle it on top if you want to be able to do that. And then we're of course going to make guacamole. Jerry doesn't eat guacamole out, but he does eat the guacamole if I make it here because he knows what's in it. He knows there's no, different ingredients and oil, any of those kind of things in it. So he will probably do these great big heaping teaspoons or tablespoons full of guacamole. And so we'll put all that together, and then we're going to do a Spanish rice and beans. So the Spanish rice and beans has a lot of different ingredients, which will be really good. And we'll talk about, switching out the beans. If you don't like kidney beans, you like black beans, you could always do all those kind of things. So as Jerry's letting them in, what I'll do is I'll probably get started and I'll have Jerry introduce himself so he can kind of watch, just making sure that people are getting in and we're kind of moving along. That way we don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with the plant-based taquitos. So one of the things that if you're just following, I always have the recipes in front of me because I have a tendency when I'm cooking at home, I will just start putting things together because I get so used to doing recipes and things that I'll start putting it. But I always want to make sure when I'm doing a show and talking to everybody and stuff that I'm following the recipe and following along and doing the right steps. So that's why I always put them in front of me. So I already have the oven to 400 degrees because we'll be putting the taquitos in there to bake. A lot of times you'll get taquitos at Mexican restaurants and stuff, and they're always fried. And this is the way and stuff that you can have those really good flavors and, mix them up, add different ingredients if you want, but not have to worry about the oil. So we are plant-based, no oil. If we do saute, we saute with vegetable broth or stock, water, and then white wine. And we always talk about white wine is always with tomato sauces and that type of thing. So we're going to get started. So I've got my skillet and everything ready to go here. Can they be air fried? Yes, you could. You could actually, your air fryer is not going to be able to hold all of them, but you could actually, roll in like say 3 or 4 or 6, depending on how big of an air fryer you have, and do those and then kind of do them in batches. And so, yes, you could do that. Air fryers will pretty much let you do anything, convection ovens, all those kind of things. So great idea for an air fryer because I know a lot of people have them. I used to when we got when they first came out, and then we never used it because Jerry was thinking French fries would be faster and stuff, and we found they weren't necessarily faster. So shipped it to my dad, who then gave it to somebody else. And I think it's made like 3 or 4 families around. So we don't have one. We just do the traditional, but air fryers definitely would work. All right. So we've got the potatoes. So I already peeled and chopped the potatoes because I didn't want you to have to sit and watch them boil. So they're just, in chunks right now. So peeled. You don't have to peel them, but when you're making something like a taquitos, it's a little bit better and stuff because you don't see all the peelings in it. But if it's just for home and you're making them for yourself or family and stuff, you could leave the peelings on. Especially if they're like fresh potatoes and they don't smell like they have fertilizer or anything like that on them, you could do that. But I peeled ours just to make it so you can see the really pretty white and everything that's going there. So those are cooked in there. So I'm going to pull these off. Any type of potatoes. Yes, you could use, if you want, let's put it this way. If you want really creamy, you're going to use the russet. If you want more of the sweet, you're going to use the yellow kind of potatoes. They're nice little, they're like a little bit waxy. If you like just chunks and you want to do that too, and you still like and you like a little bit different flavor, the red potatoes could use. So there's anything, you could actually do sweet potatoes too if you wanted to. So you could mix it up and do that. When I do things that are really creamy, like a mashed potato, I will usually use the russet potatoes just because I like the creaminess of the white potato. So I just boil them. Let me just make it the dish real quick because we're going to mash them up. We got a little bit of milk there, plant-based milk. All right, so I'm just going to dump those in. And that was just 2 medium potatoes. So medium potatoes are usually about this big, and they're usually about this big around. And if you don't have mediums, you could always use 3 small, 4 small, or you could just make a whole bunch, and then you can actually just use it for just eating mashed potatoes the next day too. So nothing better than leftovers. So I'm just taking a regular old just potato masher just to get things ready. Mashing them up. If you want, you can leave them just exactly like this. And it's got a really nice smell, a little bit more texture. If you want them creamier, then just a little bit of your plant-based milk. I'm just using soy milk for that, but you can use whatever milk that you would like. So almond milk, there's like almond milk, hemp milk, oat milk. It's almost like what is that show that was the dog show, Best in Show? It's like peanuts, pine nuts. But it reminds me of when I say all the different milks. Okay, so you can make them as creamy as you want. You can make them sort of creamy. So these are probably medium creamy. So there's still a little bit of texture to them, but then they're also softer. And so they actually stick together really nice. So we will start with that creaminess. So that is ready to go. Fast, easy. You could make it the day before if you wanted to, and then just kind of warm them up a little bit. When you warm them, you could put them in the microwave or a pan, just add a little bit more like your favorite plant-based milk, and then just stir them up, and then you get the nice creamy like that. All right, so we're gonna set those to the side. All right, so we're gonna heat up some vegetable broth. Just a little bit. All right, and then we're going to add the chopped onion. So white onion, yellow onion, red onion, doesn't matter. You'll notice on a couple of dishes that I have the red onion because I was chopping it up and I was like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it again soon. So I just use that for the Spanish rice and then also the guacamole. But you could also just do all white onion if you want. We'll get those sauteed up. And the nice thing about this recipe, you can buy the Ore-Ida, which, you can actually just put your own, there's just the regular potatoes, you can steam them up. So you could make mashed potatoes really quick. You can buy onions that are already chopped up, carrots that are already shredded, frozen peas, all that. So think about, when you're making things, that how easy it is just to buy the ingredients that are already ready to go. So just going to saute the onions up. And then once we get those going, then we're going to add the grated carrot. So I just took a regular carrot and grated it. So just on a regular grater, do that, but you can buy grated carrots all over the place. We'll just kind of grab everything. Then we're going to add the minced garlic. So we have lots of minced garlic. Same thing, you can buy minced garlic now. You don't have to mince it yourself if you don't want to. And then I've got all the spices. So we're going to do that. So just kind of get everything ready because it's not going to take long for the onions. As I dumped one across the way there. Nothing smells better than when you're cooking onions and garlic and all that, especially if you like the flavors and the smell. It's wonderful. I would say probably almost, other than sweet recipes and stuff, it's probably garlic and onions is one of the first things I always start everything with. We're big, like if we go get salsa, like a Mexican restaurant or something like that, we're big on like they have big chunks of onions in them. Best. Love that. Little cilantro, big onions. Just roll down the chat so I can see it. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to add the carrots, the shredded carrots. Make sure I get them all out. Since I took the elbow time to make sure I shredded them, got to make sure you use them all. All right, then we've got the garlic, minced garlic, so we're going to add that in. And then we have all the spices. So there's a lot of spices. You got curry powder. If you don't like the curry powder, leave it out. Onion powder, ground cumin, and a little bit of ground nutmeg. And you're probably thinking, ground nutmeg? It just gives a really nice freshness to it. So it's really good. So we're just going to add that in there. I always get everything prepared the night before. So every once in a while you get something that'll stick to the jar. So we'll just make sure that's in because we got to make sure you have all the onion powder and everything else in there. Smells really good. You get a little bit of the curry powder, and I'm not a huge fan of curry. So just a little bit of curry goes a long way for me, but the smell of the cumin and the curry powder and the onion powder mixed all together smells really, really good. And curry powder, you could do red, you could do yellow. I mean, there's all kinds, and there's really pungent type of curry, and then there's some that it's really a mild curry. I would say a lot of times the curry powder that you can get in the stores is a really good one, unless you really, really love curry, and then you're going to get some of the really special spices that you can get at the stores. But for me, the curry powder that's at stores works great. All right, so we got everything in there. Okay, now we're going to pour in the vegetable broth. So you can see it's just cooking. We've got, a little bit of the color to the onions because you've got the curry powder and everything else in there. It's almost, it's funny. It's like a cumin nutmeg curry a little bit. Okay, so about a 1/4 cup. Not too much because you can always add more. We're going to add frozen peas. Jerry was nice. I actually thought we had frozen peas in the freezer. Didn't, right about an hour before getting ready to start the class. So he ran to the grocery store. So I thank him for running to the grocery store for me. Bought 4 bags. So now we have plenty of peas for many different things. Okay. I'm just going to let it, I'm not going to put a lid on it, but if your peas are like really frozen, so let's just say you get them right out of the oven, the freezer, and they're frozen and you want to go ahead, you can just put a lid on it and just let it simmer for a minute or two. But since the carrots are shredded, unless if you had chunks and stuff of carrots, then it takes a little bit while, but this is not going to take long to heat up at all. So I'm just going to mess it around a little bit, let it set for a minute. All right, so we're going to add the mashed potatoes. So we're going to get that. Now we're going to need to do, so I'm going to turn this on low because we need to do the vegan cheese. So let me grab the blender. Yeah. Plug it in. All right, so vegan cheese, if you're following along. So there's different ways that you can make vegan cheeses. There's tons of them. There's like, you can make them with oats and you can make them with like plant-based milk. You can make them with potatoes and carrots and red bell peppers. You can make them with like cashew. There's probably at least 20 or 30 different ways that you can make like a vegan cheese sauce. So this one we're just going to use plant-based milk, which is just soy milk, but you could use cashew milk. You could use a coconut milk if you want something really thick and creamy, you can do that. But your cashews, if you have a high-speed blender, is going to make things really blend up and be nice and creamy. So you're just going to add everything in. I just took, regular cashews, soaked them overnight. If you're like, oh, I want to make that recipe and I want to make it for friends and family, or it just sounds good, and you haven't soaked your cashews, just put like either boiling water on it and let them set for 10 minutes, or you could put water in them and put them in the microwave and then run it for like 5 minutes and then just let them set. And then it'll be a really quick soak and then your cashews will get really soft. But if you think about it, of course, it's always better to soak them overnight, but just in case, those are easy ways to get around that. And if you don't like cashews, you could also use, and I know that's usually a question stuff, you can use almonds, you could use walnuts, you could use, pine nuts, you can use pretty much any type of nut. They'll make a nice creamy sauce and stuff. It'll just give a little bit different flavor with it. And cashews is one of the ones that's probably more known, or almonds, but anything like that. I've made it with walnuts one time when I didn't have cashews or almonds in the house, and it turned out really good. It gives a really nice, it was like I kind of toasted the walnuts. It was like nice and toasty and it tasted really good. All right, so then we've got the nutritional yeast. So looks just like, yellow fish flakes. Put as much or as little as you want. Nutritional yeast is what gives you the cheese flavor, which is really nice. It is great on popcorn. When you got like popcorn, the air popcorn, and you do a little bit of salt, pepper, black pepper, and nutritional yeast, really good. So it's always kind of fun to have around. Like Bragg's makes it. Pretty much any like health food store and stuff has it now. Then I'm going to put in the arrowroot. So you could use cornstarch, arrowroot, tapioca flour, whatever is going to be more of your thickener. So you have that. And then we're going to have onion powder and garlic powder and smoked paprika. And I love smoked paprika. Then you can add, if you want, you can add your salt, you can add black pepper, that type of thing. What I do with salt is I don't put it in the recipes because Jerry's like very sensitive to salt. He tastes it all the time. So what I'll do is I'll just, I'll make everything without salt and then I'll put salt on the table. So if I want salt, I can have it. Then blend in. Make sure you let it run because you want to make sure your cashews really get ground up because you want that smoothness, not chunkiness. That looks really good. So taste it. It's good. So it's really, as you can see, wrong spoon. It's really creamy, like that. And you don't have the chunks of the cashews. So really soaking your cashews overnight is what really makes it good. All right, so I'll put this to the side here because we're going to start making things up here. All right, so if you're still following along with the recipe, we're going to add the mashed potatoes in there. It's kind of a one-pot dish, but not quite. So we're just going to add, just get it out there like that. Go there. Turn my heat back up. If it seems to be like the potatoes seem a little tight, or they just don't seem to want to be mixed in a little bit, what you could add is just add a little bit more vegetable broth or a little bit more soy milk if you wanted to do that. So I'm just going to add just a little bit just to make it a little bit smoother to add everything in there, because you want to make sure you get the peas and the carrots and everything else all mixed in there. Wonderful. And this is where you would, before we actually put it in the taquitos, this is where you would actually taste it, and you would add your salt, pepper, more onion powder, more curry powder, more any flavorings and stuff that you're looking for. It takes a couple minutes to stir in those potatoes. If you didn't want to do it in a pan, you could actually just put everything back into the bowl that you had the potatoes in, which would make it easy too. But sometimes the heat gives you just a little bit more of that ease to be able to mix things together. Okay. Those carrots that are floating around. All right, then we're going to add, so as we're following along and stuff, we're going to add the vegan cheese sauce. So I'm not going to add all of it. I'm going to do enough so there's probably about a cup in here. I'm going to do enough to get it creamy, but then I'm also going to leave, I'm going to experiment with it a little bit. I'm going to leave enough to go just a little bit on the top when it's all done. As you saw when I was pouring it out, it comes out really nice and creamy. Okay, I think that's good. So that was a half a cup that I added into the potatoes, but I'd also added in some extra liquid. So instead of adding the vegetable broth, I could have just added in the cheese sauce, and then everything would have been, all stirred up together. All right, so there we go. So that's what it looks like. All ready to go. And there's a lot in there. Turn off here. Just in case I'm out of, yep, love that you're giving options just in case you're out of something. I will always give you options. I'm really big about that. If you're trying to lose weight, is it wise to leave the cheese sauce out? So you could still make a cheese sauce. So yes, if you want to, stay away from calories and things, I'm gonna get this blender out of the way. You would stay away from the cheese sauce, anything that has the nuts in it. But you could also, if Mona, when you want to let me know and stuff, I can send you one that has oats in it. So it's like oats, you blend it in the blender and it runs for probably about 3 or 4 minutes. And then it actually comes out and it's really good. So it would stay away from the nuts. So if you want any types of different cheese sauce, or if you do one, I have one that is potatoes. And so there's no nuts in it. So it's potatoes, carrots, red bell pepper, nutritional yeast, and a couple other ingredients in it too. So if you want, just send me an email that Kelley, Kelley at Plant Based Kitchen. I'll send you a couple other of the cheese sauces. You could do that. So, all right, so we got that ready. So we got the plant-based cheese sauce. So that's all ready. That recipe is gone. We'll make guacamole here in a minute. So let's grab the tortillas. So these are just a regular 365. This is a Whole Foods blend. But just when you go through your corn tortillas, you always want to flip them on the back and read what's in them. Every once in a while, you'll see that they'll put some weird ingredients in them and sometimes oil. So you just want to make sure you're getting them as clean or as oil-free as you can. So these are really thick and strong. So if I start curling these up, like this, they're going to actually break on me. So I'm going to grab, it says 8 to 10. So I'm going to grab some of these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm going to do is I have this wet, regular towel, and you could use paper towels, but I have this wet towel. So I'm going to put it here in the microwave, and I'm going to grab these. I'm going to cover it like that. And then I'm just going to do it, not for a minute. It's probably about 10 seconds or so. So I'm just watching it here. New microwave, still figuring out all the timing on it. So. Needs a little more. These are so thick. These are really, really, it's almost like stone ground corn, more so than your regular ones that you see that are very flexible. All right, let me grab the baking sheet. Oops. Since these are soft and already starting to curl up, great. So as you say on here, so as we were talking about here, so we actually, we've got, so each roll them up tightly. We're actually saying, put about 2 to 3 tablespoons. So what you want to do, it's almost like a tamale, kind of start at the end and then kind of go through the middle. Don't put too much because it's going to leak out. So then you put it, just roll it like that, put it down. The flexi, yeah, the tortillas, because otherwise what ends up happening, especially if you're making like enchiladas or something and you're like, oh, I want the dish to be, it's for friends and family and it's like you want it to be really pretty. The problem is tortillas will break on you. And then it's like, oh, not as pretty. But see like that, so you can already see how nice they're rolling just because I took the time and stuff to heat them. And that's truthfully a Jerry trick too. Yeah. Can't see that. I can't see the next. You want to tell me what? Yes, you could. So if you want, so that can you use the Food for Life ones a little bit larger? Yes, you could do that and stuff. You're just going to, of course, you're going to add a little bit more filling on them. And they're going to be, because, I've been to different restaurants and there's, I've seen taquitos that are longer and I've seen some that are short. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. Keep these up real quick. That way, if you do them in stages like this, then you've got, the nice thing about it is they keep rolling like this. So they're actually staying really nice together. And of course, when you're putting them on the baking sheet, you could also put them in like a glass dish. When you've got them like this, then it's really nice and stuff when they all stay together. So I'm going to push them just a little bit that way so I can fit a few more. Oops. Eight, and then I'm just going to add 2 more. 10. Okay, see, it's nice and starting to curl up. Put it on the pan. And you can see one of them is already starting to break a little bit on me. So that one's done. The longer you let them set out, the more they're going to break. But we'll cover that up with guacamole and other good things. More cheese sauce. Right through the rest of this. Kind of nice too when they actually start, when you've got them softened, you can actually see which way they're curling too, because they have a tendency to curl one way or the other, which makes it just a little bit easier to roll. Like that. So then I want to put it down the middle like that. Then I'm not fighting it. I'm working with it. Ah, it broke. Well, all right, 2 more and then they're in the oven. And one more. And put as much or as little of the filling that you want, but always make it it goes towards the edge. And that way you can really see it when it comes all together too. It's really pretty. All right, you crazy one. There we go. Well, since it's not cooperating, it's coming out. There we go. All right, so these are all ready to go. And I'm going to put them in the oven. They're going to think about that. You got the potatoes, you got the cheese sauce, you've got all those good ingredients in there. And of course, what's going to happen is they're going to make them all nice and creamy and good on the inside. So we'll put this off to the side. Not really hot, so we're good. All right, let's get the Spanish rice and beans because the guacamole, of course, is the easiest thing to do. That's at the very end. So do that. And then, like I said, I have the cheese sauce still, so I'm going to hold that off to the side. If I want to heat it, if you have a Blendtec or you have a Vitamix, you can actually put it back on the blender stand and start blending it. And the way those work and stuff, they'll actually heat it. But what I'll just do is I will put it into a saucepan really quick and just heat it up a little bit. So, but it's got great creaminess. It's really pretty. All right, so we're going to grab a big pan. Clean up my mess. All right. Now we're going to start with a little bit of vegetable broth. I cooked the rice last night, so instead of sitting here and kind of waiting for 17 to 17 minutes, 20 minutes to get the rice to cook in here, I actually just cooked the rice last night. So I have rice that is all ready to go. I cooked it in the pressure cooker, so the Instant Pot pressure cooker, for like 5 minutes. So usually you're cooking it like 10, 12, 15 minutes. I did it for 5 minutes, so it made it soft enough so we could actually get the recipe done for the class. But otherwise, if it was just a regular night for dinner and stuff, I would have just done the recipe exactly like how it's being shown. But I want to make sure we got done, so that's why I did it. All right, so let me grab everything, all these beautiful ingredients. This is a really pretty rice. So you've got garlic, minced garlic. Go ahead and add that in. Grab the spoon. All right, and then we're going to add the onion. I did red on this one. So I figured, you've got the red bell pepper, you've got everything else, might as well add that really pretty purple color. If your vegetable broth starts coming out and it starts boiling away, just add a little bit more or add a little bit of water if you don't have the vegetable broth. Water will work just fine. Then we've got the bell pepper. I just chopped it up a nice small little chop. In a rice cooker. So what would be the par, you were asking, so what would be the par cook amount for the time based in a rice cooker? So I would say you're probably, normally you're probably what, 15, 20 minutes on rice. Some of them are 45 minutes depending on the rice that we have. I just did a nice, short grain type of brown rice. So normally in like on the stove, it would probably take about 25, 30 minutes. So par cook, you're probably about 10 minutes. And that way it's just softer and you could do it the night before. And then that way you can just add it and you don't have to sit here and wait for dinner, especially if you want something really quick and fast. Great question. You're welcome. All right. Then we've got everything. We've got the garlic in here. So we've got the garlic, the onion, the bell pepper, which wonderful smells. And then we've got everything else in there. So and then we're going to add the spices here. So I'm just kind of grabbing things that we're going to add. Then we're going to add the rice. So we'll kind of put things in order. So we'll just be like, bada bing, bada boom. Spices, rice. Then we're going to add the salsa. So any of your favorite salsa. Jerry, one of his favorites is the medium On the Border. So On the Border has a lot of different Mexican restaurants in a lot of different towns. We've been to the restaurant, but it's been a long, long time ago, but he likes the salsa. And you can get like a mild, medium, and a hot, and it's a really good one. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me grab one out of the pantry. That way it's just easier to see what it looks like. There's the On the Border, one of the Jerry's favorites. This one was hard to find when we were doing, when it was COVID and things, but we end up stocking up on a lot, so we have quite a bit. But it's a really good salsa. The hot one is really hot. So if you like hot things but not real hot, a good idea to mix like the hot and the medium together. But the medium's got some kick, but it's really good too. I would a lot of times and stuff, if I'm getting ready to do something like nachos or something with the On the Border, I'll actually add like jalapenos and fresh onions and all kinds of things like that into it, just to even give it more flavor. But it is a really, really good salsa. Okay, so we got that in there. So the black olives and the kidney beans are going to be towards the last. So I'll throw this over to the side. Some of my taquitos are breaking up a little bit. It's like I'm getting an onion, garlic, red bell pepper bath. Just want to cook it long enough to where your onion gets translucent. So you'll see that happens pretty quick. And then your red bell peppers just have a time to cook down a little bit. All right, so we were talking about the next one, all the spices. So on the spices, we have cumin, smoked paprika, dried oregano, and red pepper flakes. So don't add the red pepper flakes if you don't want something that's like a little bit spicier. But like I said, it's just a little pinch, but it does give you, like usually a lot of times and stuff, the Spanish rice and beans will have a kick to it. So, but if you don't want it, don't add it. And I always talk about when you're doing spices, even if it's my recipes, what you want to do is you always want to start with the less amount. So if I say, let's just say a teaspoon of cumin, and it's first time you're trying the recipe, go low on spices. So go like a quarter teaspoon or an eighth of a teaspoon, and then taste it really quick, and then keep adding. That way you don't get, it's like it's all of a sudden like, oh, too much cumin or too much oregano. I've done it to where, we've done it in a lot of classes and tried through these recipes, but it doesn't mean that, because everybody has different palates, that it's really easy and stuff to like over spice things. And that's what I find like in a lot of recipes that are out there. If you're trying to do like, hey, I just want to try something kind of cool, they're over spiced. And so try it out first before you actually kind of get into like really spicing them up. That way, no waste. Add just a little vegetable broth because it's starting to stick a little bit. All right, so now we've got the rice par cooked. This is, like I said, the brand was called Della, and it's just a brown rice. Really nice. Cooks up well, not mushy. The Della brand, if you see it in your stores, and I got it just a regular like King Soopers, Kroger's. If you see that, it actually cooks up really, really well. The brand does. A lot of times and stuff, the brown rices that I try to cook sometimes get soggy. So just mix all that in before I actually put in the salsa. I'll show you what it looks like. Just making sure I got all the rice in there. So really pretty. So it's got all your flavorings in it. It's got the color because you've got the cumin and everything else in there. It smells really good. All right, so then you've got the cup and a half of your favorite salsa. You could mix this too. What would be really good, and just now sitting here thinking about it, we are big fans of green chili. So if you would have done like, half green chili and like a green chili salsa and then this salsa, that would have been wonderful. Yeah, a little bit moisture to it. One thing you could do too that you could add to it, because there's a lot of times Spanish rice and beans will have tomatoes. So you could actually add a can of tomatoes, or you could do the fire roasted tomatoes. You want to change it up just a little bit. Getting it stirred up really good. Got to make sure your rice and everything's coated all with a nice salsa. Taste. Actually, I'll show it first. So it looks really pretty. That's really good, even without the beans and everything else in it. Really good. And I didn't add any salt or anything like that because the salsa has, always has a little bit of salt in it anyway. So I will do that because I'm going to let it sit for just a little bit. If it's, with the par cooking and stuff, it's okay to stir the rice because you've got it partially cooked anyway. And so you're just trying to heat it up and make sure it's soft and it's, it has a good mouthfeel and everything like that to it. If you didn't have it and you're going right from regular, just raw, different type of rice, then you're going to want to make sure that kind of follow directions a bit. Keep it on, medium low to like a medium heat, and then just let it set and cook. Check it. I would say probably don't stir it other than you would actually just take the lid off, kind of pull it off to the side. And if it seems to be sticking, because rice is very starchy and it will stick, then just add a little bit of vegetable broth in there. So kind of like, from the sides, add a little vegetable broth or water, and then that way it doesn't stick. But usually if you do stainless steel, you're in pretty good shape. So got that. All right, so we got that, let it simmer for a little bit, and then we're gonna watch that. We're leaving out the red peppers. So must be not being a fan of red peppers, but no, it actually, the red peppers are good because it just adds, a pepper flavor, but with all the spices that are in there, no, it's really good. So you could actually, if you want to leave red peppers out and add it, you could add chipotle, like an ancho chili or a chipotle type of a spice in there, you could do that too. And if you liked other peppers, you could do it, or you could do those, those little, what they call the sweet little bell peppers, those little tiny ones that are like red, yellow, greens in the packets. You could put those in there too. So no, wouldn't change the flavor. It's really good because it's so hearty. You've got the rice and the onions and the garlic, and you could just add more of that if you wanted to. And then you've got the red beans and the black olives and all those kind of things in there. So not needed at all. It's a lot of it is, I like red bell pepper, but a lot of it too is the prettiness of it. So it looks good. The rice brand, Della. Let me grab it. I have a little bit of it left. You can tell it's like maybe a quarter cup, but I kept it because I wanted to buy some more. There you go. So Della Basmati, light brown rice, and it cooks up so good. It never has gotten, and it's just brown basmati rice, and it doesn't get soggy. It holds up well. I've kept it in the refrigerator just because I'll show you really quick. I've been reading this book, and I'm it's wonderful. This lady, her name is Kristen Hong. If you haven't seen this yet, it is called Fridge Love. And let me put that down. Look at that refrigerator. Isn't that beautiful? She's got all kinds of pictures of refrigerators in here. She is a nutritarian, but and I was just trying to see if I could see some other refrigerators in here. But she talks about, how you pull everything out and you keep everything fresh and all that. So like rice and stuff, you can keep it for, 10, 12, 14 days. So there's different ways you want to store things and that. So if you're just getting started with it and want to have, a really organized refrigerator, isn't that beautiful? It's just like you can prepare everything, have everything ready to go and all that. So I just been perusing through the book and watching it. But a lot of her things as far as making sure that things are fresh and keeping like lettuce, you bring it home in the plastic bags, you take the wire off, you stand up the lettuce and then put, like a paper towel around it or one of those white cotton cloths. And then you're able to keep things just a lot longer in your refrigerator. Because there's nothing worse than going in there, you bought something and then it's all wrinkled up and yuck. So I'm just adding, because it's sticking just a little bit. Adding a little bit of moisture. All right, guacamole. There we go. So we are going to put kidney beans in the Spanish rice and beans. If you don't like kidney beans, you could do black beans, you could do pinto beans, you could do cannellini white beans, you could do no beans. I mean, there's all kinds of different choices, but these are, following the recipe to the trueness. So it's definitely kidney beans, just rinsed and ready to go. So we'll put those off to the side because those will be the last thing that we add. Make sure I got that off, turn that down. All right, guacamole. One of Jerry's home favorites. And if I go to, if we used, like when we used to go to parties, this is one of the things that, especially 4th of July, I would actually take like two big, there'd be like dishes like this that had little stands, two big dishes like that, and it would be gone in probably, I'd take baked chips and all that, probably gone in like 30 minutes. Popular. All right, let's get that out of there. Put that there. Set the oven. All right, so we have the guacamole. So usually if there's a couple things, you could either squeeze it because you just want the avocado out. You can grab a spoon, you can chop it up, whatever you would like to do to get the avocado out. Let's do a couple little spoon things there. I says 2 on there, but Jerry and I would not eat enough of the guacamole for 2 avocados. So that's why for this one, for the demonstration, I went down to 1 so that I don't waste a whole bunch of avocado. All right, and then I've got this. These are my avocado forks, my guacamole. So you can get in there, and they're really strong forks, so they don't bend. So I just get in there, mush it up, make it as smooth as you want. There's a little bit of black spot, so just take that out. You can make it as smooth as you want or as chunky as you want, because sometimes you'll go to restaurants and there'll be big chunks in it. So it's up to you and your preference. I will do it most of the time, mostly smooth with a few little chunks is our favorite. Because what I really like is to make sure all the seasonings and everything else get mixed up in there. And actually, I'm going to add one more ingredient just to show you. Let me grab it out of the fridge. Especially since we're doing taquitos. I have these little power bombs of tomatoes that are really good and really sweet right now. So they're kind of pretty to add. So we're just going to add in red bell pepper, red onion. We're going to add in, I did jalapeno, but I actually baked the jalapeno last night. So I roasted it out and then I've just chopped it up. So it's nice and kind of like nice and pliable versus having those big chunks of jalapeno in there. Don't put jalapeno if you don't like it. You could always do poblano, all kinds of different peppers. Mix that up a little bit. Looks pretty already. Got the nice colors. Let me cut up. I'm going to cut up some tomatoes. It said these are in the stores right now. They're like they call them power bombs. Power sweet bombs. And they are really, really good. They're really, really sweet and red, which is really pretty. So just cut up a few of them. Okay. Add those in. You can add the seeds. Make sure it's good. Just adds the color and flavor, the sweetness. All right, then we've got garlic, minced garlic. If you don't want minced garlic, you can always add the garlic powder. A little bit of lime and lemon juice. That way you can keep the freshness. And it's good with the acid, which is really good. Stir that in. Then you've got garlic powder. This is also where you would add your salt and pepper. Oops. And a little bit of your favorite salsa. And you don't have to add the salsa. It's just nice. It gives that well-rounded flavor of it. I like guacamole that tastes more than just like the avocado. So it's got nice flavors and you get the onions in there and all the really good things. So there we go. There is the guacamole, all ready to go. And a good place to taste it. Nothing better than homemade guacamole. And the jalapenos have a little kick. Woo, okay. I can feel it at the back of my throat. It's like all of a sudden, like, and I even took all the seeds out and everything. Woo. All right. Here's the cheese sauce. Let me grab a spatula. I'm just going to pull this off. I'm going to add this there. Grab my dishes. While this is sitting here, grab my kidney beans. Add those in. Black olives, just sliced up black olives. You can buy them already sliced. You could also do your favorite, if you've got other favorite olives that you like, you could add those in. Does not have to be black olives. Make sure I got everything in. I got the fresh garlic or the garnish, which I'm going to do. I have some jalapeno peppers that we're going to add. And then I have some microgreens. Jerry and I have been getting really big into like sunflower microgreens, broccoli microgreens, putting them on everything. They're really good. Like I'll show you our favorite. That's heating up. Grab one. This is a sunflower. That's a sunflower microgreen. And they grow them from the actual sunflower seeds and stuff. It is the most, if you want to try microgreens for the first time and like put them on salads or sandwiches or that kind of thing, the sunflower one is so good. It's not necessarily always found in stores, usually at your farmer's market, but it's probably one of the sweetest microgreens that are out there. Really, really good. And then we've got like, there's alfalfa, broccoli, radish, that's all in here. So a little bit of mixture of all kinds of different microgreens. They keep, if you keep them in there, they keep for about 5-7 days for microgreens, unless you've actually got them in, they're in the little pallets and they're actually still like you can like soak them in water and those type of things. But if they cut them, like at some places, they cut them in stuff 5-7 days that you can have them. All right, let's get this heated. Do you always yes. So Eileen, do you always eat microgreens raw? Yes, you do. Do you, so like some of them, and what I would recommend is you go to a farmer's market if you can, because otherwise you get them in pretty big packs. But the farmer's markets will, of course, they're like, don't touch the microgreens because they're very delicate, but they will actually give you like little samples to try. So when Jerry and I went to our little farmer's market over here, we tried them. And I was like, Jerry, you got to try the sunflower because I tried that from somebody else that given that to me. And then it's like, then they'll give you like, what do you want to try? The radish? Do you want a spicy radish? So there's spicy ones. There's, what was the one? Wasabi. They had a wasabi microgreen that we have a little bit in there. So when you're sitting there tasting it, it's just like this, you would just eat it. And like I said, this one's really sweet. It's got a little bit of a flavor of a nut, but it's real sweet. Very good for you. Very good for your gut. All those, but the wasabi tasted like wasabi. It had was like, whoo, kick. And it was really nice. So if you wanted to have if you're making some kind of like a sushi dish or something like that, the microgreens, the wasabi would have been really good on that. Okay, here we go. Hot. I'm gonna have to add a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little vegetable broth into it. I wasn't watching it and I was talking to you, so it got a little thick. And that's the one thing you have to watch with your cheese sauces, because it has the arrowroot or the tapioca flour. It'll get thick really quick. So just add the vegetable broth or something like that. You could also just take it and add it back inside of the blender. stir. Easily savable. A little bit more because I want it pourable. And then we're going to grab the stuff out of the oven. You can tell, boy, that arrowroot made it thick really quick. There we go. Back all nice and creamy. Off to the side. Okay, grab the rice. Isn't that pretty? Already just got out all the beautiful colors. And if you put like a green bell pepper in there, you would actually have it. So you'd have the green showing, the yellow, the red. Smells really, really good. Pretty at the top. Show that in just a second. I'm going to take a picture. Definitely want the pretty. Okay, we'll do that here in just a second. I'm going to add a couple jalapenos. I'm going to add some of the microgreens. Taquitos. Grab those out. I had one that decided to help itself to lay and open, but that's okay. We're not going to use that one. Don't advise grabbing them with your hands, but I get used to the oven, so. Do 3 there. Put these back in the oven just so they stay hot for dinner. Lucky Jerry, right? Okay, so then we've got, let's do the cheese sauce. It seizes up, like I said, you got to be really careful. It seizes up really quick. You just always can save it though. Just add a little bit more vegetable broth, water, plant-based milk. There we go, because I want it to pour. All nice, creamy. There we go. Let me unplug this so we can, don't have to listen to it anymore. Guacamole. Voila. Got some greens. Actually, I will do a couple tomatoes since they're so good and so beautiful. And we're almost there. Okay, microgreens, a little bit of chives. If you don't have the microgreens, green onions, scallions, that works. All right. Jalapeno. One more. There you go. There is your plant-based taquitos. So you can see all the yummy, like you can see all the different fillings in there. This one has a really good side if that doesn't show. has all the fillings. You've got the cheese sauce that's over top. You could add more cheese sauce. You've got the guacamole. You could do a sour cream. You got all the fresh vegetables. And then we have your Spanish rice and beans. Doesn't that look yummy? I hope you guys enjoyed. It is, I'll actually do a quick little taste of the rice and beans. Wonderful. Yeah, so Chef AJ, so I'm going to be on Chef AJ's show this Sunday. Real quick. So I'm going to be doing, it'll be 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So then kind of daylight, mountain, MST. Yeah, or MDT, doesn't matter. But so I'll be on there. So we're going to do heroes and all kinds of like Greek tzatziki sauce and all that. So we talked about the name of the show, I think is we need to give thanks to our heroes, GYROS. So cute little name. So join me if you can. You'll get to, Chef AJ, she's always a hoot. She's always got, she's full of entertainment. So, but yeah, on Facebook and stuff, you'll see it. If you go to her site, Chef AJ, she'll actually have all the information of how to get there and how to watch it. So hope you guys can join me. If you can't, she does record and you can get a hold of it on YouTube and all those different sites. So, all right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed and I will take a really pretty picture. If you guys make it, please send pictures, post it on the meetup site. We'd love to see what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. So I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon and talk to you in 2. Bye-bye.